Should you replace your roof before you list your home for sale? If you're thinking about selling your home, you might wonder what improvements need to be made before you list. And the answer to that question is it depends. It depends because it matters how fast you'd like to sell your home and for how much you'd like to get. So here's a great example. I was going through the Northwest MLS looking for a home for a client, and this home is a great example of the conundrum of whether to fix things or to sell them as is. Now, when I immediately looked at this photo, I suspect this was probably going to be an estate sale, and this home probably didn't have a Form 17. There's a couple of clues that showed up for me in pictures before I even read the footnotes. You can see in the picture there is some, some rot on this deck, and there's some signs of deferred maintenance as soon as we start looking through the photos. There's awesome views, but immediately I start to see that there is a lot of moss buildup, and you can see there's some visible signs of deferred maintenance on the home. Now, clicking through these, this is the one that stopped me in my tracks and made me record this video. Now, like I said, when I looked at this photo, I realized this is probably a Form 17 free type of home, and one that is an estate sale. So this is going to be sold as is. They're not going to make any guarantees about the condition, and the seller, in this case, is likely deceased. When I look at this home, I realize immediately that it needs a new roof. Now, in the Pacific Northwest, we are prone to quite a bit of moss growth, especially on the northern exposures of the roof. And it's one of those things that you should have treated pretty much every year. You want to remove that moss because the moss particles and the root systems actually break apart the insulation and the water protection barriers that are designed in the roof. So the little particles that sit on top of it get broken down over time with moss, and it's accelerated by moss growth. You can just imagine that as the plant grows, it actually just like pulls those moisture barriers apart. Now, this can cause issues when you're selling for a couple of reasons. One is a seller is going to look at your home, and especially if it's in the last 1/3 of it, if the roof is in the last 1/3 of its life, or it's looking like it obviously needs to be replaced, like this home, the seller immediately knows that if this isn't done before they sell, it's going to need to be done as soon as they move in. Now, when you're making a purchase like a roof, this is something that will be cash out of pocket. They're going to have to pay the roofer, let's say $25,000, $30,000, $40,000, depending on the size of the roof and the material that is selected in order to replace it. Now, unlike when they're purchasing a home, they won't be able to have when they're purchasing a home, they're not going to be able to enjoy the financing that comes along with selling. Now, unlike when they make the initial purchase of the home, they aren't going to be able to enjoy the financial benefits of financing and leveraging their money to make the purchase. So things like roofs or new windows or new decking, a new furnace, those things are going to be cash out of pocket. They aren't going to be able to put so if it's $25,000, they're going to have to write a check for $25,000 versus $25,000 when you're purchasing a home as part of your down payment. If you're putting 20% down, that is, over $100,000 in buying power for that person. So think about it from a buyer's perspective. How will they be approaching making those fixes? Now, needing a new kitchen is one thing, but things that are going to immediately need to be cash outflows will impact the amount that a buyer is able, not just willing to pay for your home. So as you think through this conundrum of what should you fix and what is okay to leave, make sure to think about how much do you want to get for your house? What type of seller or how many sellers do you want to attract? This type of home is going to attract people that have probably a lot of cash and have the ability to make those renovations. So if you're hoping to have a wider pool, anyone that sees this is going to automatically have some big red flags if they are not wanting to do that type of work. A lot of buyers are very put off by having to do work. So when there's a lot of really big projects, you'll automatically disqualify a lot of buyers from the potential pool. So think about how the buyers will see your home and the projects that are stacking up. So it's going to be a really big difference between someone, needing to, want to refresh the kitchen and maybe paint the cabinets versus needing to replace windows and plumbing and the roof and the electrical and, redo the deck. It's a totally different scope, and it really changes their ability to pay for the home and how much they can pay. I hope you found this useful. If you did, please hit the subscribe button so you can catch more bite-sized real estate and renovation tips right here on my channel. Thanks so much for watching.